back into One-on-One on OSU Student Radio KXUY, Sunlink Channel 112, live from Studio 318. And Logan, you have been an anti-Christmas guy pretty much since the day I met you. But it's after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's time.
So it is officially Christmas
time.
I left the Santa hats at home. I have a Santa hat for you, but I left it at home.
I will wear it now.
So Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
We hope everyone had a happy Thanksgiving. The Cowboys did not, at least in football terms.
Yeah.
Because they went down to Fort Worth and gave Gary Patterson and the Horned Frogs an early Christmas present.
Got them
with
taking them bowling.
Yeah.
They took them bowling.
They're going bowling. Taylor Cornelius was next to awful. The offense in the first half was, he had 7 completions in the first half. They punted 5 times. Ouch.
Yeah.
This was a performance that I guess we get to see against the lower teams in the Big 12 from this Oklahoma State team in a 31-24 loss. Taylor Cornelius, not great.
Yeah.
He was the leading rusher on the team, though, which is not something that you want to see.
Absolutely not. Especially, it's not just that he was the leading rusher. It was how many yards everyone else got on their – like Chuba Hubbard, 13 carries for 42 yards after the past couple of games he's had. He was lights out the past couple of games. You only give him 13 carries. And L.D. Brown, if it wasn't for, 2 decent runs, he would have had negative rushing yards on multiple attempts. He finished 10 carries for 5 yards. That's half a yard per attempt. That is disgusting. It kind of seemed like we reversed back to when we played Kansas State. That's what this reminded me of. And I think a big part of it was, like you said, they don't play well against the bottom teams in the Big 12, and they really didn't care this week. They kept the bowl streak alive. It just didn't seem like they had anything left to play for.
No, it was an embarrassing game, to be honest with you. Cornelius, 17 of 40, 181 yards, and the 1 interception, granted right before halftime.
Yeah.
He did have 2 touchdowns on the ground, though, 52 yards rushing. You said Chuba, 13 carries, 42 yards, was lucky to get those plus yards on a couple big runs. Tylan Wallace didn't help his Bolitnikoff chances because everyone he was up against had a monster weekend. Judy, Alabama had a big game, and Hollywood Brown at OU ran all over West Virginia. Tylan Wallace, 4 receptions, 64 yards. So we've done, we had to do these shows with Robert on Wednesday. They were a lot more fun when we won.
Yes.
This is just the epitome of Oklahoma State football this season. It was marred by, transfer news, bad losses, exciting wins, and a ninth place finish in the Big 12. So that's where I guess we can look at it as, because there's really nothing to talk about with this TCU game. They let a 5th-year starter in Mulestein.
Yeah.
He wasn't great, but he did enough to win. They let Rieger run all over him. He had over 250 yards from scrimmage himself.
Yeah, 121 on the ground, 91 through the air. It was the typical game this season, We had a lot of shows kind of like this one on Wednesdays with Robert, just like why? Like, how do you get up for games like Boise State, Oklahoma, West Virginia, Texas, but you don't get up to go play Kansas State, TCU, Texas Tech?
Yeah. We'll just go through the games.
Yeah.
A 58-17 win over Missouri State. Yeah, Missouri State and Dave Steckel, they're bad.
Yeah.
They're bad even in the Missouri Valley Conference. South Alabama's on the rise up, but a 55-13 win over their first-year head coach. Impressive enough, I guess. What else do you expect when you play those teams? Now, Boise State comes in ranked 17th. It's a matchup that everyone has their eyes on.
Yep.
The clash with the Power 5 and the school that's always wanted to be a Power 5, and they beat them 44-21 on special teams plays, mind you.
Yeah.
Then Texas Tech comes to Stillwater the next weekend and throttles Oklahoma State 41-17.
Yeah.
Then Oklahoma State goes to Lawrence, gets a 20-point win over the Jayhawks, which is not great when you look at Kansas. 20 points is not good enough.
Yeah.
Come home to Iowa State. It's a sloppy game. Brock Purdy, his first start ever. He didn't even start the game. His first game that he played 4 quarters, and he embarrassed the Cowboys in a 48-42 loss. Kansas State, we go to Manhattan, 31-12 to a team that
that's the worst one, right? The K-State loss is the worst loss.
12 points on K-State.
Yeah. That's got to be the worst. That was the low point of the season.
Then you come home for homecoming, and you have a huge win over Texas and a 38-35 thriller. People rush the field. It's like, hey, we can get things together. Then we go to Baylor, and we lose with 12 seconds left to a guy, mind you, didn't start the game because he had a concussion.
Yeah.
Then we go to Norman, and the number 6 team, your arch rival, and you're 2-point conversion away from winning the game. A 1-point loss. And then you come home to the number 9 team in the country. You're down 17 points at halftime, and you come back and win 45-41, and it goes to the last play of the game. Then you go down to TCU, and you lose 31-24 to a team who's got half their guys in the infirmary because they're hurt. They're on their 7th safety. They're a 5th-year starting quarterback who's never started a game since his senior year of high school.
Yeah.
And you lose. 6-6. I mean, what do you say about it?
We're going bowling.
Is that good enough, though? Like,
no.
The bowl streak's important, I guess, enough. 13 years in a row. But your 13-year winning season streak is on the line, definitely, because you might get a good SEC opponent.
Yeah, right now it's looking like Texas A&M, right?
Yeah. And but I don't know. Which is good.
Yeah.
You would rather play a really good team
I guess.
when you're looking.
It's baffling. We all knew this was a rebuilding, or not a rebuilding, but maybe a reloading year after Mason and James left. It was so much worse than that. I mean,
but
there was a point in time where you could look at the schedule and not see this team not being in a bowl game.
Yeah, when we were 4-3, I think, you and I several times looked at this. And it's like L, 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 and they, with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games left in the year, we beat Texas. We lose to OU by 1 point and beat West Virginia, but lose to Baylor and lose to TCU.
Yeah, you lose to the 2 that you can beat, and you almost beat 3 that are just out of your league the way you've been playing all the rest of the year, but you end up beating 2 of them. The fact that West Virginia and Texas were their 2 wins in the last stretch of 5 to become bowl eligible, it's I think there's always one team that makes no sense in college football. That was us this year. Like, you look at us and you're like, how do you come out and beat, what was it, number 9 Texas,
compete with number 6 Texas at the time,
number 5 OU,
well, number 6 OU at the time, still are, and then number 9 West Virginia at the time at home,
and you go out against Baylor, not flat, but you certainly don't play as well as you did the week before, and then this week, that was pitiful.
So, if I would have told you at the beginning of the year we started off 3-0.
Yep.
And the Big 12 wins we have are over Texas, West Virginia, Kansas, obviously.
Yeah.
That's our Big 12 wins. Those are the ones that I'm telling you, these are guaranteed wins. You're probably looking at it going,
I would say we only lose 1 game.
Yeah.
I would say we only lost to OU.
Yeah. That's how just weird. Texas Tech, Iowa State, Kansas State, Baylor, and TCU. TCU is a good program having a year much like Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
But theirs isn't marred by inconsistency. They don't have a team.
Yeah. And the Iowa State one, that looked bad at the time. That kind of turned into a better loss as the season went on. And, I mean, that was a 1-touchdown game. So, but still, you get surprised by the backup quarterback who's now the starter. It's it's so hard to put this season into words because it's baffling.
Yeah, it is embarrassing. Taylor Cornelius, I think you could stick the same narrative with him as you can the team.
Yeah.
At times you're like, oh, man, I wish this guy was coming back. This is so good. And then other times you're like, are they going to bench him at halftime?
Yeah.
Which I think we all knew was never going to happen. But you left that little glimmer of hope that they might plug in Drew Brown or Spencer Sanders for a spark. And then the next week, Cornelius would come and blow you away.
Right.
So I don't know.
How do you think he's going to be remembered?
As 6-6.
Okay. I didn't know if he would be remembered as someone that, like, kind of saved the season, or if he'd kind of be remembered as the guy that was just there. He was a 5th-year senior.
Well, he's the type of guy that you're going to look back on in 10 years, and you're going to say, you remember Taylor Cornelius? And I'm going to go, yeah. I remember him.
He's one throw away from being, like, kind of a legend.
Yeah.
I mean, if he beats OU and he ends up his biggest wins are Texas, OU, and West Virginia all in 1 year. That would put him. I don't know where it would put him, but he would certainly be remembered a lot better than he probably will be. But I think throughout the year he kind of he obviously got a lot of flack on Twitter for his play, and that kind of turned around after the Texas win, and it didn't seem as bad on Twitter. But
well, I think the problem with Taylor Cornelius,
I think he beat expectations.
Yeah, at times.
Yeah.
And other times he didn't even come close to meeting them.
Yeah.
But I think his criticisms, especially early on in the year, were not his fault because of how bad the offensive line was.
Right.
And sometimes he had bad drops. It's not all on Taylor Cornelius. And the Oklahoma State fans that are, if you look at Spencer Sanders' Twitter, this kid thinks he could start. You talk to people who are around this, see these things in practice.
Yeah, it's not quite there.
It's not there. So I don't think it would have been any better with a different quarterback. But this entire team, I think the defense improved quite a bit as the year went on.
Yeah, I'm ready to see what they kind of do. You know, people have been calling for Jim Knowles' job too.
Those are just as clueless as the people who want to start Spencer Sanders.
You got to give him some time. I'm not saying he'll have an elite defense. I don't know if that's possible in the Big 12.
No. The 4-2-5 is not a shutout defense.
Right, but who knows? Maybe if we have a above-average defense in the Big 12, that's a pretty good defense across the rest of college football, I would say. If you can hold a Big 12 team to maybe 30 points, 32 points, something like that, you're in pretty good shape. So we'll see if he can kind of evolve into that. And the more the guys get used to that defense, it's only going to get better.
Yeah, that secondary is really young. But the problem is the defensive line is going to be completely different. So now you're mending two different parts together. But I think it will slowly get better. You do have to give him time. But we're looking at the bowls here. Certainly the projections are the Liberty Bowl and Texas Bowl.
Yeah.
But the possibilities are the Cheez-It Bowl on December 26th.
Gosh.
The Liberty Bowl December 31st. Texas Bowl December 27th. And the Armed Forces Bowl on December 22nd. ESPN has some bowl projections out, and the two guys that do it have us at the Liberty Bowl facing Texas A&M, and the other one has us at the Texas Bowl facing Texas A&M.
Oh, gosh.
Texas A&M, obviously we're going to get into that in the next segment, had a huge win, but it looks like either the Texas Bowl or the Liberty Bowl. Which one would you prefer to be in, or which one do you see us in?
I think I'd rather be in the Liberty Bowl, but I wouldn't be surprised if we end up in the Cheez-Its Bowl.
Don't send us to the Cheez-It Bowl, please.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's where we end up, but I think I'd like to see us in the Liberty Bowl, and I think if we play Texas A&M, obviously they're a good team, so that helps our chances based on what we just talked about, how this team plays against good teams.
We want Bama.
Yeah.
We want Bama.
I don't think we really do, but we would play a lot better against Bama than we would against TCU last week.
Good Lord, Logan, we might beat them by 40 points at this rate. But if we play Western Kansas State, we might lose.
Yeah, I agree. And you look at some of the other networks, like CBS has us in the Armed Forces Bowl maybe against Western Michigan.
Yeah.
I would not like that. I would rather us play a good team like Texas A&M, like you said, to kind of give them something to play for, and so that they may play better throughout the game. But it's so hard at this time of year to kind of project where we're going to be. Where do you see us?
Probably the Liberty Bowl.
Yeah.
I would think. But this team, I would say the Liberty Bowl, probably playing Texas A&M or a team like that, maybe a Vanderbilt, another 6-6 SEC team. But this team is good enough to beat just about anyone when they want to be.
Yeah. Is Texas A&M 6-6?
They are 8-4.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, man, that's a really good 6-6 team.
Vanderbilt is 6-6.
Okay. Yeah.
And A&M's close to being 9-3 with a win over Clemson. So there's all possibilities. What will you remember about this team?
That they spoiled a couple team seasons. They spoiled Texas and West Virginia and got close to spoiling OU.
Yeah, that's what I remember for it. A year with inconsistency.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot of stuff that happened outside of Fort Worth, all around college football, which we're going to get into. Your Michigan Wolverines, they choked it. They're not going to the college football playoff. But we will get into all that and everything else around college football when we come back one-on-one. OSU Student Radio KXUY Sunlink Channel 112.
One is brought to you by Tinker Federal Credit Union. Visit facebook.com/TinkerFCU. While you're there for your family, we're there for you. Tinker Federal Credit Union. And OSU Communications. Not sure where to park? OSU Communications has got you covered with parking tips and bus schedule information. We'll be right back.
Determining your future by selecting a major can be difficult.
It's okay to be undecided.
Connect with the College of Arts and Sciences, where your options are endless.
Where you can uncover your passions and achieve your goals.
Express your creativity by exploring a career in the visual and performing arts.
Investigate new discoveries to make the world a better place with a career in science.
Advance knowledge, communicate progress, and contribute to a healthier planet with a career rooted in the social sciences.
Discover your career by looking at the world from different perspectives through the humanities.
Realize a better tomorrow through problem solving and mining data that can change lives.
Cast for Crazy to succeed through internships, study abroad, student-guided research projects, and service activities.
With 109 majors, 52 minors, and 24 departments, the only thing missing is you. College of Arts and Sciences.
Connect.
Achieve. Succeed.
When you have a team of physicians and nurses that really truly care about their patients, that translates into patient care.
It's a small practice, it's a small town. Everybody really takes that time to put the patient first.
Everybody cares what's happening to me and that I'm making progress and I'm gaining my freedom back and my mobility back. This patient is saying thank you.
This spring, I invite you to shop in downtown Stillwater. Downtown Stillwater is home to locally owned shops, boutiques, eateries, and dependable professionals that you can trust. Find the perfect gift for your graduate, have a delicious meal with mom, or just stop in to enjoy great spring savings. By creating a demand for local goods and services, you can ensure a place for the local businesses that help give our community character and keep it unique. On behalf of Downtown Stillwater, thank you for shopping local.
Welcome back to One-on-One on OSU Student Radio KTY Sunlink Channel 112, live from Studio 318 here at Oklahoma State University. It was an interesting weekend in college football, Logan.
It was.
Because there was fights between coaches' nephews and
Yeah.
coaches. But the biggest hilarious game, in my humble opinion, was the fact that Michigan went into Columbus. By the way, in the last 14 years, Oklahoma State has beaten Oklahoma more than Michigan has beaten Ohio State.
Yeah.
So that's how lopsided this rivalry has become.
They haven't beaten Ohio State in Columbus since 2000. So it's not looking good for the Wolverines on that front. And I think obviously you like to give me some flack about liking Michigan, and all year I was like, they can win, they can do it, they can beat Ohio State. And then, I don't know, something clicked last week where I was like, no, they can't. I think it was after Ohio State beat Maryland in that overtime game. I was like, no. If Ohio State isn't this bad and this dysfunctional where they lose to Maryland, they'll put it together for Michigan. That's all they have to do. They only have to put it together for one game, and they did it. And you can say Michigan had some injuries in the game that hurt them, and that's true, but that does not excuse what happened on Saturday.
62
against the
39.
best ranked the most, I don't want to say the best.
And quote.
Yeah, the best defense in the country, quote unquote. But
yeah, this is what would happen if Michigan played in the Big 12 every week. They might win games, and they probably would put up more than 39 points, but they got lit up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
And that would happen every week. All these college football analysts and Big Ten purists were spewing this defensive garbage for 11 weeks, and this is what happens when they played the first spread offense of the season. Dwayne Haskins, 20 of 31.
Man, he was good.
396 yards.
6 touchdowns.
6 touchdowns.
Yeah. And Shea Patterson probably had his worst game since probably the first game against Notre Dame. And he got hurt towards the end of the game and had to leave, but that doesn't make a difference. They just got tore up. Like you said, they played spread offense, and Ohio State just ran all over the field. I thought Michigan was going to turn it around, though, going into halftime. I think they scored twice in 6 seconds or something like that. They scored. Ohio State muffs the kickoff. Yeah. They fumble it. Michigan recovers on the 10 or something like that, and they end up scoring again. And I was like, okay. Yeah. They scored, I think, 7 points the rest of the way.
Ohio State gifted them a chance to get back in the game.
And I thought they had capitalized. I was like, man, that's good. 2 quick points. Because before that, it was, I think, it was something like 21-3 or something like that before they scored that first touchdown.
Yeah.
So I thought they were on their way, but then they go scoreless in the third, and they try to fight back in the fourth, but it was way too late at that point.
Even after they score the muff the kickoff, Ohio State still goes down and gets a field goal.
Exactly.
So Michigan was never really in control of this game. blew their college football playoff chances and a trip to the Big Ten title game, where Ohio State's going to blow Northwestern out by 60.
Yeah.
Which we'll make those projections obviously later in the week. But by the way, that brings the old great football coach that Jim Harbaugh is. He's 2-6 against his biggest rivals. Ouch.
I thought he was 3 or are you just talking about just against
Michigan State and Ohio State, because he's 1-5 to start the year. So
I thought he was never mind. I thought he had another win in there.
I think he's beaten Michigan State twice.
Okay.
But he's never beaten
never beaten Ohio State. Will he ever beat Ohio State?
I mean, eventually he's going to beat them.
I think Urban Meyer has to leave before he can beat Ohio State.
Well, that may be closer than most people think, because that guy apparently can't yell without getting a migraine. And that's not a shot at his health, but you're listening to the broadcast and you're like, he can't get upset without getting a major migraine. What's he doing? Why is he doing this to himself?
Exactly.
And I'm not a doctor, so obviously I'm not going to speak on that, but weird circumstances there. Washington blew out Washington State. I guess you could say it was only a 13-point victory, but in the Apple Cup, the snow was falling, and Washington State, I was waiting for them to blow that one important game, so I picked them to win, and they didn't. So that goes to show you what I know, I guess. But in UCF beat South Florida this rivalry weekend. Number 9 UCF, they're going to move up after a few losses for the teams ahead of them. They beat South Florida 38-10, but
big injury though.
Mackenzie Milton, 5 of 10, 86 yards and a touchdown before he probably one of the worst leg injuries at least I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was
brutal.
It's up there. It's bad.
It was brutal.
He's done. He's done playing football. I think it's safe to say he was a senior this year, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I mean he wasn't going to the NFL anyway, but that's hard to watch. And I like UCF just for poking fun at you that they're the co-national champions and all that, but this I don't know what it means for the rest of the year. I don't think they'll win their bowl game. I think their win streak's coming to an end if they don't have their quarterback.
Well, they struggled with Memphis with Mackenzie Milton about 4 or 5 weeks ago, so that's who they have in the American Championship game. I think that they will beat Memphis this time, but if they get a New Year's Six bowl,
they're in trouble.
They're in trouble because Mackenzie Milton, I mean, you saw with their backup, it just they eventually got things going, but it took a long time. Josh Heupel will work with him, and they will be somewhat effective.
Yeah.
But that team really rallied around Mackenzie Milton, and maybe the injury rallies them some more. I don't know, but hope he does get better because that was a terrible injury. Texas beats Kansas 24-17.
I was really upset by this. I wanted another year of Texas lost to Kansas jokes. Those were the best. That was the best. That was the best time.
You can still make them. They never get old. But they are squaring off in Arlington with OU for the Big 12 championship. OU went to Morgantown, and West Virginia does what West Virginia does. Dana Holgerson makes some I don't even know how to describe them, decisions. In very crucial times, they lose 59-56 to the Sooners, creating the rematch of the Red River rivalry.
What do you think of those uniforms that OU's wearing?
They're trash.
I kind of liked them. Like, I liked them as much as I can like it, something that's OU.
They're cool for 2012, but I think that they could do a little bit cooler stuff. If you're throwing in, like, OU's like Texas and Notre Dame. They're too classic Alabama. They're not going to change it.
Right.
But when they do throw that one alternate in there,
it could be a lot better.
It was cool when they first did them, but you've got to improve on those somehow.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like you could do a lot of stuff with the wagons and stuff like that, and Nike just kind of fails OU, I think.
Yeah, I think it's Jordan now, right? Technically still Nike, but yeah. I just saw OU fans ripping those apart, and I was like, those are actually – I liked them. I liked them.
I'd stay with the classics if you're not going to do that. Like I said, when they first came out with those, I was like, okay, this is kind of cool, but you got to improve on them a little bit, change it every few years. But OU and Texas, which we'll get into on Friday, obviously, to break down the Big 12 championship game, but it's going to be a huge game down in Arlington.
Yeah.
No telling what tickets go for. They're giving each school 8,000 tickets in a stadium that holds 100,000. So the Big 12 doing remarkably smart thing as they typically do. As we said, Michigan, I just love this Michigan loss. LSU and Texas A&M. The game of everyone dubs the 2011 Alabama-LSU game the game of the century. That game ended 9-6. Okay.
Yeah.
This was a 7 overtime marathon
Yeah.
that involved terrible no calls, terrible calls,
Missed fumbles.
a Gatorade bath on the
Yeah.
coach that ended up losing the game. I mean, I have no idea how Texas A&M found a way to win this game. The game should have been over there, but they went back and looked. You're seeing the
There's the Gatorade bath
for a coach that didn't end up winning the game because Kellen Mond's knee was down right there. They give him a little bit more time. They go down and win the game.
Yep.
You're going to see it right here. Just a remark. Kellen Mond, I don't even know that was a first down.
That's pretty close.
It was close. They missed. Oh, man, the refs were absolutely awful in this game.
Yeah, but don't you kind of need that to have a good game? Don't you need the refs to miss something? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but they were like
bad.
I couldn't care less who won this game. I honestly, it made no difference to me. But when you can watch it as an unbiased fan, I went back and it was on SEC Network, and yesterday I watched it again. And you're watching it and you're going, oh my God, how did LSU fans not riot after this? It was absolutely unbelievable how bad the SEC refs were. But you're right. They needed to do that way to create a seventh overtime.
Yeah.
And LSU ended up winning on a made 2-point conversion. Acrobatic catches.
Yeah.
This was a classic.
For sure.
Classic.
I saw a little meme. It's like it was like the 3 games. It was like the Rams-Chiefs game. It was that game. And there was one other. I can't remember what is off the top of my head, but it was like something about competing for Game of the Year or something like that. There's been a lot of good games like that, and they all seem to be very high scoring. The fans won with this game. I don't know specifically if LSU fans won, but like just fans of football got to win with this one because it was great. There's plenty of stuff to complain about, which I think helps build the reputation of a game if you can go back and look at stuff like that. Oh, it was a great game. This is a Texas A&M team that we were just talking about earlier. We might be seeing them in a bowl game. I don't know if we want that necessarily, even though it'll help us play better, but it was an insane game. I saw the first overtime, and then I had to go do something for the franchise show, and then come back, and someone's like, "Yeah, they're still playing." I was like, "What? That was a long time ago. They're still playing?" So
yeah,
just a crazy game.
It's a crazy game. It did the theatrics of the game. Did not end with that winning 2-point conversion because there was a fight after the game. Allegedly, Jimbo Fisher's nephew, excuse me, he was credentialed on the sideline. There was a skirmish between an old LSU coach that's now on the Texas A&M staff, Steve Cragthorpe, who I believe is an offensive analyst. He was like telling him to move on. And Jimbo Fisher's nephew comes up and punches him in the chest. Here's where it's interesting. Not only does he suffer from Parkinson's disease, he has a pacemaker. And he punched him in the pacemaker.
Yeah.
And he's going to the doctor today to see if there's any actual damage with his pacemaker. He could have seriously injured this guy.
Yeah.
Which is Kevin Falk, who's an offensive coach, was a running back at LSU. He went after Jimbo Fisher's nephew after he did that. It was a terrible scene. I think this probably happens more in college football than we ever realize after games. But he's just glad. Jimbo Fisher's nephew better be glad he did not
seriously injure this guy.
Kill him. He could have ended his life.
Yeah.
It was a terrible scene, but I don't even know how to describe that. That's taking what happened in the game and going way down. It's like, I hate to compare it to the end of the Texas OSU game, but it's like, you don't need that.
Right.
And they did. So we're going to take a quick break here, but first, quickly, we'll talk about Cliff Kingsbury out as the head coach of the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Larry Fedora is out at North Carolina. Mack Brown may be taking his second stint in Chapel Hill. There's been a ton of rumors around the Red Raiders who will take that job. I don't know that. Brent Venables said he's not really seriously interested.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. I mean, I'm more interested in where Kingsbury ends up because, people are saying he should come here. I saw an article. What if he goes to Alabama? And you and I kind of talked about it earlier. We don't know if he's this great offensive mind that is above everyone else, like maybe a Lincoln Riley is.
Yeah.
There's guys out there, like Mike Yursich.
Yeah.
How much different is it really?
Yeah, I don't know that. And there's been some talks about him coming to Kansas City to work with his old quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. I want no part of Cliff Kingsbury whatsoever. There's been some talk with the Dallas Cowboys, but anyways, he is out after 6 years in Lubbock. So we're going to take a quick break, come back, and talk about everything that happened in the National Football League. You're watching 101 on Ocean Radio, KCY, Sunday Channel 112.
One-on-One is brought to you by Oklahoma Christian University. Get your master's degree in accounting, business administration, theology, engineering, computer science, or cybersecurity from Oklahoma Christian University. Apply at oc.edu/grad. Oklahoma University is committed to offering the best graduate school experience we possibly can. Come learn and grow with us. And The Table. Stop by The Table on Thursdays at 8 p.m. to join their Bible study. Shoot Rachel an email at rachel@thetableosu.com for more information. We'll be right back.
In my mind, I was never going to walk right again. Before we were through, we had walked 23 steps. And that was my first steps of freedom. This patient is saying thank you.
Welcome back to 101 on the Ocean Student Radio KXUI, Suddenlink Channel 112. Logan, you're seeing Jalen Ramsey labeled trash quarterback.
That was a terrible draft pick.
Yes.
I love it when people get shut up like that.
Jalen Ramsey's been shut up a lot this year.
Yeah.
The Jags are 3-8 after being 10 minutes away from a Super Bowl.
That sucks. Do you think they're on such a slide because they got so close?
They're on a slide because they're not that good of a football team. Blake Bortles.
Yeah, he got benched.
Yeah, Cody Kessler's apparently the fix down in Jacksonville. They were a good defense. They still are a good defense, but the other pieces aren't there. They've had injuries. They're not a mature football team. Doug Marrone has no hold on these guys. Yeah, you're seeing there. Jalen Ramsey did pick Josh Allen off once, but it was called back because he shoved the receiver out of bounds to pick it off. This was a fight, or a game that included a fight, a brawl of that guy you're seeing right there, Leonard Fournette. Looks like a nice guy there. Wasn't a nice guy when he got in a fist fight in the end zone. Here, it'll be coming up right here. This was just a crazy game, but Josh Allen, 8-19, 160 yards and a touchdown, had almost 100 yards on the ground and added a score there as well on 13 carries.
There's the fight.
There's the fight right there.
Some good footage of the fight.
Yeah, his own teammate takes his helmet off, by the way. Carlos Hyde knocked his helmet off. That's great. I mean, they were fighting into the tunnel or wanted to fight. Then they score a touchdown. It gets called back. They miss a field goal, and the Bills were free and easy from there on out.
Yep.
Beat the Jags 24-21 to improve to 4-7. This Buffalo Bills team was the laughing stock for the league most of the year. Now they're 4-7. Not that that's great. But they get Josh Allen back. He beats Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey was telling him he was trash on the field. Shook hands with him after the game. Did not have a lot to say.
I imagine he just said, like, okay. Yeah, I bet he kept that press conference pretty short when someone asked him about that. But
yeah,
and I believe Josh Allen just kind of brushed it off post game. He was like, yeah, it's whatever. I just try to win games, and that's the right response you want from Josh Allen. But I wish he had kind of gone at Jalen Ramsey a little bit.
I think if Jalen Ramsey wasn't as good as he is, these quarterbacks would kind of go after him, but they always know how good he truly is. And most of these guys are probably mature enough to be like, I mean, well, you're 3-8.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Josh Allen, in all fairness, has been injured, and he's on a 4-7 team, so he can't. And he had a good day, not a great day. I mean, he was 8 of 19, and 160 yards isn't much to tout about in today's era of football. But the Jags are on a bad slide there. Your Broncos, though, thank you. I've been rooting for the Broncos the past couple weeks. Until they play the Chargers, I will be rooting against them again.
Yeah.
But they knock off the Steelers. Big Ben throws a crucial interception to a nose tackle, believe it or not. As you're seeing here, the 97-yard touchdown to Juju Smith-Schuster. He turned on the burners and went all the way. 97 yards for the score. But the Broncos do beat the Steelers 24-17. I see you put there, can the Broncos still make the playoffs?
I think it'll be hard. At the beginning of the year, obviously you remember I brought up the paper. We're coming for you, Justin Herbert.
That worked out well.
I know. They must have saw him and been like, that guy's stupid. Let's go win some games and make it to where we won't even have a good draft pick. So looking at the schedule, I'm not saying they will, because I think to make the playoffs, you're going to have to win. Do you think you have to win at least 10 games?
Yeah, in this division.
Yeah.
In this division and this league, or the conference,
So they would have to win out to get to 10. They're 5-6 right now. They've got the Bengals, the 49ers, the Browns, the Raiders, and the Chargers. Those are winnable if they play the way they've played the last 2 weeks. But if they play the way they did against the Jets, there's no way. If they play the way they played against the Texans, there's no way. So, and that's kind of, they're not like Oklahoma State in terms of inconsistency, but they're just that middle of the pack team right now. In this division, at least. It's obviously Kansas City's division, and then probably the Chargers are next.
Yeah.
So, but they beat the Chargers earlier this year. Phillip Rivers had probably the worst game of his year, or of this year, a couple weeks ago against the Broncos. But looking at their schedule, they can win all of these games. The Bengals are not that good. Andy Dalton had a terrible week last week. The 49ers are just, they miss Jimmy Garoppolo, so they're just awful. The Browns are still the Browns. I don't care who's the coach, who's not the coach, who's the quarterback, what the quarterback has to say about the guy that used to be the coach. I don't care. They're still the Browns. The Raiders are just probably the worst team, right? Them are the Giants.
Yeah, well, I would say the Raiders.
Yeah, I would too. And then the Chargers again. So if everything plays out, there's a map for them in the playoffs. Do I see them getting there? Yes.
I do too.
I do.
Which leads me to believe that I might have the worst day of my life at some point later on.
Yeah, get a first-round matchup.
Yeah, Denver comes to Kansas City and beats Kansas City. Seems like my worst nightmare, which is probably a real possibility. Broncos fans might be.
I know Ryan and David back there behind the cameras are hoping that's the outcome.
We're talking OU level fandom here, which I cannot stand. You Bronco fans don't know. You've been spoiled. And now you're Baker Mayfield. You're spoiled, and you just say things, and you think you can get at whatever you want. Leave me alone. Let me have my year. Just take an off year. I heard you've had some moments this year where you're saying, oh, man, this just really sucks. You won a freaking Super Bowl 3 years ago with a Hall of Fame quarterback. I have had nothing.
Tony Gonzalez.
He left. He demanded to be traded. My one shining light of the Kansas City Chiefs is a 30-0 victory over the Texans in the playoffs, just to go to New England and get beaten down.
Yeah.
I don't want any part of the Broncos. They need to lose every game, but they have a really good shot. I mean, you're looking at these teams, the Bengals, the 49ers, the Browns are probably, outside of the Chargers, the Browns are the best team on the schedule, believe it or not. But there is a path.
And that's what makes the rest, like the earlier part of the season, frustrating, like the game against the Ravens and the Jets. And I'm not going to say the Rams because the Rams are obviously one of the best teams, but you hold that Rams offense to 23 points.
Yeah.
I just wish they had capitalized on that and won. And obviously the Texans a couple weeks ago, that one was frustrating.
Yeah, which leads me to my next point about the Browns.
Oh,
They
yeah.
beat the Bengals. I mean, they beat the Bengals
Yeah.
bad yesterday, 35-20. The score probably says it's closer than it actually is.
Yeah.
They beat their old coach, who's now on staff in Cleveland, and Hugh Jackson,
Yeah.
or in Cincinnati, who that's where he was before. He had
Right.
connections there. But Mayfield, 19-26, 258 yards and a couple touchdowns. He was impressive. But he proved to be the immature child
Yeah.
in a lot of. And I'm not going to knock Baker. He's going to be a good pro player. I don't think he's ever going to be the best quarterback.
Yeah. He's had a couple good games. Past couple, I think probably the past 3 weeks he's played really well, even though they've lost all those games.
Yeah, he is starting to play well. They have a lot of talent there. They're on their way up. John Dorsey flipped that roster like that,
Yeah.
like a lot of people thought he would. But my problem with Baker Mayfield, man, you got to grow up. You got to understand that this game is a business.
Yeah. You got to be more self-aware, too, because you'll get into it in a second, but keep going.
I mean, he goes after the game. Hugh Jackson comes to shake his hand and give him a hug, and he doesn't want any part of it. Immature. Then after the post game, this is quote, somebody who was in our locker room is asking us to play for it, and then he goes to a different team. It's a business. By the way, Baker, you left the University of Texas Tech University, who's in the Big 12 conference, and you go to play for the Oklahoma Sooners, who, Baker, I don't know if you know, are in the same conference.
Yeah.
How do you think his Texas Tech teammates felt?
I'm sure they were fine with it, Reed. It's only not okay if Hugh Jackson does it. Everything is fine as long as Baker Mayfield does it. He can do no wrong.
I mean, he's got to grow up. He has got to understand that this is a business. I saw a lot of stuff on Twitter that are like, well, he's just finding a way to psych him up and get energized. Okay, but as soon as that game's over, you need to lose that.
Yeah.
Because as bad as Hugh Jackson was, historically the worst head coach anyone has ever seen, he had no help from the organization. Other guys probably would have won a few more games, but not many.
And I mean, did you see just to speak to how bad the organization was, he wanted Deshaun Watson in that draft, and he wanted Carson Wentz the year before. One of those guys I'm not going to say led him to a Super Bowl, but put him in a good position, and then they ended up winning the Super Bowl without him because he got hurt. And the other guy has transformed the Houston Texans into whatever they were before, into probably a playoff team now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think if he gets the guys he wants and the organization trusts him fully, I'm not saying he turns the Browns around and takes them to the playoffs or anything like that, but they probably don't go 0-16 last year and 1-15 the year before. So Cleveland just wasn't a good situation for him. Not saying he's a good coach. I think he proved he wasn't.
But he's always been a respected guy and a nice guy. I don't think anyone's ever had bad stuff to say about Hugh Jackson. And for Baker to come out and say this, it's like, what's his angle here? He has to grow up.
Yeah.
I think he's a really good football player. And it's not because we're sitting in Stillwater that this is just wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't particularly like whoever it was that intercepted the football and gave it to Hugh Jackson.
Yeah.
He was fired. The organization let him go. Is he supposed to just say, well, I just want to sit at home? Football coaches always want the next job. They want to move on.
Mm-hmm.
This is where he was before he was in Cleveland.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it. And Baker, it's a business.
I do think it shows that he had no control over the locker room and he had no respect from anyone on that roster.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, which, the Browns are getting better.
Sadly,
0-16, now they're 4-6-1. They could easily be 5-6.
Yeah.
Or I guess you could say they could be 3-7. But I mean, they're getting better. They're not anywhere close to the best team in the league.
Yeah.
And I think they're letting their confidence. It's on the right way up, but they don't have a coach yet. Greg Williams is not going to be the new head coach in Cleveland. I mean, a week ago we were talking about Condoleezza Rice, who was in the cabinet of the Bush administration.
Yeah.
Which turns out Adam Schefter kind of misreported. That was had no truth to it at all. But I mean, I don't like to see this from Baker. I think it's pretty disrespectful to Hugh Jackson.
I agree. Yeah. Like I said earlier, he clearly had no respect, no command of the locker room, which is kind of funny if you go look back at Hard Knocks about how much he was like, I'm in control, I call the shots. When you're the head coach, you can call the shots, and no one cared. No one respected him.
Yeah, which is an unfortunate thing. Another unfortunate instance here of the NFL news is Reuben Foster was arrested on misdemeanor domestic violence charges in the team hotel in Tampa. Obviously, he is of news because he was in trouble at Alabama, had a diluted urine test in the draft, got arrested on some marijuana charges. He had the big domestic violence arrest. Then the woman came forth and said that she just wanted money for him, that she made it up. And now he's arrested again, and the 49ers release him.
Yeah, good move by the 49ers, I think. I like the zero tolerance policy on domestic violence that some of the teams have adopted now in the recent years. I think it's long overdue, so good on the 49ers.
Yeah, I don't think another team's going to be picking him up for very long. He is in bad case. Hopefully he gets it cleaned up because he is a good football player. We're going to take a quick break, come back, and talk about how successful the Cowboys were on the wrestling mat and on the basketball court over Thanksgiving break. You're watching 101 on LSU Student Radio KXCY, Sunlink Channel 112.
One-on-One is brought to you by Oklahoma Air National Guard. Contact Oklahoma Air National Guard at 800-GO-TO-ANG or visit their website at goang.com/OK for more information about how to get 100% college tuition. And Unitarian Universalist Church. If you're looking for a church home, visit Unitarian Universalist Church of Stillwater, located at 320 South Stallard Street. They offer an alternative spiritual path and welcome all races, religions, and beliefs. They are also LGBTQ friendly. Services every Sunday at 10:30. We'll be right back.
Stillwater Medical Center now offers a convenient way to view your health information online. It's secure, easy, and free. Our hospital and clinic patient portals allow you to view results and reports, medications and allergies, track visit histories, view upcoming appointment information, and see your statements. To enroll, go to stillwatermedical.com and click on the patient portal link near the top right of the page. If you have questions, please feel free to call 405-533-6010.
Welcome back to 101 on LSU Student Radio KXCY Sunlink Channel 112, live from Studio 318 here at Oklahoma State. We're back from Thanksgiving break. Did you have a good Thanksgiving break?
I did. Got a lot of food. How about yourself?
I didn't have to come here, so it was pretty nice.
Yeah.
But the Cowboys had a pretty good weekend outside of a bad loss to Villanova, which Villanova went 19-40 from behind the arc.
Villanova, they're not what they were last year, but they are the defending national champs. That's a more defendable loss than Charlotte.
Which that Charlotte loss is looking worse and worse because the Cowboys were up over 20 points in that game in the second half. So they probably should have won that game. But they finished third in the Advocare Invitational. Obviously beat Charleston here to start it off. Beat Memphis 84-64. The loss to Villanova, which Villanova couldn't miss a three-point shot, and then beat a top 20 team, number 19 LSU 90-77, and were pretty dominant in the first 12 minutes of the second half. It got a little, honestly, 13 points is misleading because the Cowboys gave up a few easy buckets there at the end of the game. So they're growing. They're plugging in players, Michael Weathers, Michael Cunningham. They're throwing guys together. They're improving along their way. But the non-con ahead.
Yeah.
They're way overcorrected from what happened last year.
Yeah.
They had a terrible non-con last year. The committee didn't respect it. So now they go out and they played Memphis, Villanova, LSU, go to a really good Minnesota team,
Yep.
a better Tulsa team than last year, and then Houston and Nebraska.
That's a really good non-conference. And what's sad is the easy part of the non-conference, we dropped one, which will haunt us all year. I guarantee you, come Selection Sunday, if this team's on the bubble, that Charlotte loss is going to come up.
Yeah, the LSU win will
Great
not
win.
come up. The Memphis win will not come up.
A good win.
But
not a great one, but
the Charlotte 49ers loss will.
Yeah.
And that's just the way this committee works. But if you're looking at what they've done so far and what they can do, one, how good is this team now? I'm going to ask you 3 questions. How good are they now? What is there going to be these next 4 games, Minnesota, Tulsa, Houston, Nebraska? How do they finish those 4 games? And what is the ultimate ceiling for this team?
So how are they right now? They're way better than I thought they'd be. And I thought they were going to be decent. I thought they were going to be a middle-of-the-pack Big 12 team, which is still a good college basketball team. The Big 12 is a really good basketball conference. But I'm just going to go into one guy that has surprised me more than anyone, and I think you'll agree with me on this. It's Cameron McGriff.
Yeah,
that dude has totally turned into a different guy from last year. I did not expect him to be the guy to kind of take on the bulk of the scoring load, but he has clearly turned into that guy for this team, and that's worked out really well. I also like I'm gonna mispronounce his name and I'm gonna feel horrible, but it's the point. I don't even want to try it.
Likely?
Yes. Yeah. I like him. I think he's a good point guard for us. And whenever we work Michael Weathers in there, that's gonna make the team a lot better. So going forward, they have the potential to be better than they were last year. And by that I mean still win the big games, against maybe a Kansas at home or a Texas at home, stuff like that. They're not going to drop the easy ones. They're not going to go to, let's just say, they're not going to go to TCU and lose. You know what I mean? I think that's the next step for this team. And I think Mike Boyden's going to get them there. Where can they be? What were the other 2? Sorry.
How are they going to finish this?
How are they going to finish the year?
These
4 games?
These 4 non-con.
Okay. So Minnesota's going to be tough. That's a road game. Minnesota's a pretty good basketball team, I think. I could see them dropping that one. Tulsa, I think that's an easy win. Houston and Nebraska are both at home, so that helps out a lot. We need the students to go out to Gallagher-Iber Arena. I know that's, I think, is that the week after finals, the 5th and the 8th, or is that during finals week? That can't be during finals week.
Which game?
The Houston game.
I believe it's the Saturday before,
okay,
actually.
So go to the Houston game. You may have a final. Go to that game, and I know Nebraska is going to be during Christmas break, but people that can come should come. It's good. Those are going to be great games. I can see them coming out of this 3-1.
Yeah, it's Saturday before finals.
Okay, so yeah, I could see them coming out of this 4-game stretch 3-1, and I could see this being another bubble team at the end of the year. But I don't think the committee is going to let that Charlotte loss go. And if there's not another team on the bubble that has a loss comparable to that, I don't see Oklahoma State getting in the tournament unless they get some more big wins against like Kansas and those kind of teams.
Well, they're on Kansas' radar.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Beating Kansas just got that much harder than
Kansas is going to give them more than their best this year.
Yeah, I mean, they're on the road, but they're playing in South Dakota versus Nebraska. I don't really know how that works, but basically a road game there. They get Houston at home, but at Minnesota and Tulsa, I think that they're probably going to finish this one 2-2, and then they have.
I did not know the Nebraska game was at a neutral site. Sorry. So
yeah, well, it doesn't say at Nebraska, so I had to look at it. It's in South Dakota, and then Central Arkansas and Texas A&M Corpus Christi. You would like to think we could win those 2 games, and then you get into Big 12 play just after the first year. Iowa State, then you go to Norman, a really good Texas team.
Yeah, that Texas team is.
Yeah.
Kerwin Roach has taken a big step forward. He's one of those guys that got better every year. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to get too much into where guys are going to get drafted, but he'll be one of those guys that could, just based on his athleticism, could be one of those mid-first round guys. And there's a lot of those guys in the Big 12, obviously, when you look at the schools like Kansas, Texas Tech, and last year OU with Trae Young. He's going to be really, really good. So he's going to be a problem for the Cowboys whenever they come to Stillwater.
Yeah, the Big 12 is
it's so
stacked.
good. It's so good.
Predicted to finish last, but Iowa State, really good, improved a lot from last year. Oklahoma, a lot better than I thought they were going to be.
I don't think they're that good. I think they're going to finish last in the Big 12.
We're going to find out relatively soon.
Yeah.
Because they do play January 5th. Texas, West Virginia, Baylor is a consistent tournament team.
Yep.
And then we have to play an SEC, that Big 12 SEC matchup, South Carolina.
That's a good team.
They made the
Mike
Final
Boynton's
Four.
a former team. He played
his
there.
alma mater.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Frank Martin, a team that went to the Final Four.
Yep.
Kansas State's a top 12 team. TCU tournament team. Then we know about Kansas, Texas Tech. This conference is absolutely loaded. So they're going to have to make some upsets and win those games. The TCUs, the Baylors, and the K-States that they should have won last year, they're going to have to win those this year. Yeah. So I think the potential is relatively high for the Cowboys, but it can be a long basketball season. As soon as it can seem great, it can fall very quickly.
Right.
But some other good news for the Oklahoma State athletic programs here over the weekend is Cowboy Wrestling improved to 3-0 with a big win over Wyoming. They've beaten South Dakota State, Minnesota, and like I said, Wyoming. Dayton Fix has been pretty dominant in his first three. He's scored some low-scoring matches, but he has
he's kind of dominated them, though. If you kind of look further in, he's had a couple pins. I think in multiple matches he's had a couple pin downs and stuff like that. So, like you said, they're low-scoring, but he's getting it done.
Yeah, after a letdown year last year for the Cowboy Wrestling program, it seems like they're trying their best to work their way back up, and I think that they will. John Smith's not one to kind of let it fall very far before they pick back up, but obviously Penn State's still out there.
Yeah.
The Missouris, and they beat Minnesota, Michigan, Ohio State. The Big Ten's really good. So some positive things for the wrestling team now. They got OU coming up here within the next week, but the basketball teams keep rolling, so they will be home finally versus Houston, not this Saturday, but the next Saturday. Yeah. So certainly we will be there. Thank you for watching.
Wait, can I say one thing?
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Mom. It's her birthday today. I had to give my mom a shout out. Happy birthday, Dara.
Happy birthday to your mom. Logan, you're watching One-on-One on Ocean Radio, KXUY Sunlink Channel 112. We will see you on Wednesday.
Determining your future by selecting a major can be difficult.
It's okay to be undecided.
Connect with the College of Arts and Sciences, where your options are endless.
Where you can uncover your passions and achieve your goals.
Express your creativity by exploring a career in the visual and performing arts.
Investigate new discoveries to make the world a better place with a career in science.
Advance knowledge, communicate progress, and contribute to a healthier planet with a career rooted in the social sciences.
Discover your career by looking at the world from different perspectives through the humanities.
Realize a better tomorrow through problem solving and mining data that can change lives.
CAS prepares you to succeed through internships, study abroad, student-guided research projects, and service activities.
With 109 majors, 52 minors, and 24 departments, the only thing missing is you. College of Arts and Sciences.
Connect.
Achieve. Succeed.
When you have a team of physicians and nurses that really truly care about their patients, that translates into patient care.
It's a small practice, it's a small town. Everybody really takes that time to put the patient first.
Everybody cares what's happening to me and that I'm making progress and I'm gaining my freedom back and my mobility back. This patient is saying thank you.
This spring, I invite you to shop in downtown Stillwater. Downtown Stillwater is home to locally owned shops, boutiques, eateries, and dependable professionals that you can trust. Find the perfect gift for your graduate, have a delicious meal with mom, or just stop in to enjoy great spring savings. By creating a demand for local goods and services, you can ensure a place for the local businesses that help give our community character and keep it unique. On behalf of Downtown Stillwater, thank you for shopping local.